We're one of the few countries in the world that systematically and deliberately spends less money to educate poor children than affluent children.
China is first. The U.S. is not. In fact, we are at the bottom when you look at our kids' math
Everyone
results.
looks at comparing 15-year-olds in 70 countries. The U.S. ranked 14th for reading skills, 17th for science, and below average 25th for mathematics.
What you see in these segregated schools is they tend to get far fewer resources and, very importantly, less experienced teachers.
And it can bankrupt a middle class, or especially a lower middle class family. Look at these average.
We're running a system right now that's producing from children in poverty only 9 college graduates out of 100 kids.
If we were really serious about social progress in this country, teachers would be paid like lawyers and doctors.
We don't allow schools to pay the best teachers more money to keep them in the profession. That's crazy.
How many of you use your own money to pay for supplies in your classrooms?
But he wants more funding for public education.
There is no doubt about it. The evidence is unassailable that we are in the middle of a crisis in public education in this country today.
An educational system that isn't just serving them badly, it's serving the nation badly.
There has to date been no special interest group or organized interest group that's advocating on behalf of children.
But what the other countries are doing right is that they're actually focusing on making sure that all kids have a decent shot at education.
If you look at what determines a country's long-term greatness or long-term economic growth, then there are no silver bullets, no quick fixes, but maybe the closest thing there is really investment in education. That's not just about money, as you said, it's about building a great system.
Have the public schools in Michigan gotten better?
I don't know overall. I can't say overall that they have all gotten better.
Have you seen the really bad schools? Maybe try to figure out what they're doing?
I have not intentionally visited schools that are underperforming.
Maybe you should.
Maybe I should, yes.
My name is Maya Getachew. I'm 19 and I'm from South Orange, New Jersey. It's pretty diverse and they celebrate that fact, but they don't always take care of their lower economic social group and as well as their minority students.
My name is Raina Shamma. I'm 18 and I'm from Nyack, New York. I grew up in a really welcoming community, really diverse, so there wasn't any pressure. Everyone was super kind.
This year is Maya. She got a 29 on the ACT. And this is Raina. She got a 32. Why does it matter? Well, first it decides college, which then grad school depends on college. Then your future job, future career, future salary all depend on that. Then your future house, future family, future lifestyle, which ultimately decides your life expectancy. Yeah, seems like a big deal to me.
How did you study for these tests? So initially I got the prep books and I tried to do practice on my own, but I wasn't disciplined and also it wasn't very effective. So I signed up for an ACT prep course.
So was that prep course offered by your school?
No, you have to pay for it. For sure, I think people wouldn't be able to afford it. I couldn't afford it for as long as most people did because it was per tutoring session. Mm-hmm. So I only went to a few for stuff I was struggling with.
I just went to those practice exams offices and then I got a tutor.
You got a tutor?
Yeah.
And was that did you have to pay for that?
Yes.
All right. And so did you go multiple times to this tutor and did any of your friends also go to this tutor?
No, my mom just knew someone else whose son got tutored and then he got a good grade on the ACT and my mom asked for his information so we could also.
Today, because when I was a little kid, my teachers thought I was a big dope. Big because I've had a weight problem for my entire life, and a dope because I did poorly on IQ tests. When I grew up in New Jersey in the mid-1950s, the tradition was to give group IQ tests to students pretty much every year or two. And the psychologist who came into our classroom to give the test scared the bejeebies out of me. She was really scary looking, like, yeah, you know, just really made me scared. So I became very test anxious, or at least that's why I would like to think I did poorly. I did poorly on the test. As a result, my teachers thought I was stupid, and since they thought I was stupid, I thought I was stupid. And since I thought I was stupid, I did stupid work. And they were happy I did stupid work because I was meeting their expectations. And I was happy that they were happy, and everyone was pretty happy. So it was a nice, happy kind of environment, except that I was kind of a loser. If you need this broader range of skills today in order to adapt flexibly to the environment, why do we still use these tests that are 100 years old? Well, one reason is just inertia. You know, we've been using them for 100 years. People get used to them. They don't want to change. But imagine if we still used the medical tests of 100 years ago, how many people would be dead? And as a result of these tests, a lot of people actually end up intellectually dead because they're deprived of opportunity.
In their life, just obsessed with standardized tests. They think bubbling in a multiple choice question will determine success. That's outlandish. In fact, these tests are too crude to be used and should be abandoned, but don't take my word for it. Take Frederick J. Kelly, the man who invented standardized testing, who said, and I quote, "These tests are too crude to be used and should be abandoned." Ladies and gentlemen.
Right before walking into the test, I wanted to pee my pants. Yes, I was terrified. Not because, I mean, it's like if you don't do, there's like societal pressure that if you don't do good on these tests, you won't get into college, and then you're looked down upon by everybody. And then it's just, even though that's not the case, it's just how it is.
Oh, yeah. I always get super anxious. Like, I can't eat in the morning, and I don't sleep well. Because I always feel like, well, the ultimate goal of high school was always college, and I felt like college was determined by this test, so I was really scared. So the NCAS was a standardized test that was taken in elementary school and I think through middle school.
Through middle school, yep. So this is similar to the Michigan MEEP, which was the same
From what you
exact
described.
thing. Yep.
Yeah, I remember it perfectly. I remember the first time taking it, actually. It was in my first grade class. And then I thought I always got super nervous.
In elementary school.
Yes. Yeah. It was also like a qualifier for like this program called enrichment, and it was for like talented students. And so like when I got in, it was like I was happy about it, but before I was like, if I don't get in, I'm not smart. But like, who tells a third grader like they're not smart?
Right. And so when you say talented students, you mean talented based off of
that exam.
Correct. All right. So this exam didn't test art skills.
No.
Didn't test empathy.
Nope.
Didn't test people skills.
No.
Didn't test creativity, dance.
No, I also think it was dependent on resources, because the people who had parents that could help them with those packets and other tutors that the younger age did much better. I also think it was dependent on resources, because the people who had parents that could help them with those packets and other tutors that the younger age did much better. I also think it was dependent on resources, because the people who had parents that could help them with those packets and other tutors that the younger age did much better.
I want to talk to you about my kids. Now, I know everyone thinks that their kid is the most fantastic, the most beautiful kid that ever lived, but mine really are. I have 696 kids, and they are the most intelligent, inventive, innovative, brilliant, and powerful kids that you'll ever meet. Any student I'd have the honor of teaching in my classroom is my kid. However, because their real parents aren't rich, and I argue because they are mostly of color, they will seldom get to see in themselves the awesomeness that I see in them. Because what I see in them is myself, or what would have been myself. I am the daughter of two hardworking, college-educated African-American parents who chose careers as public servants. My father, a minister, my mother, an educator. Wealth was never the primary ambition in our house. Because of this lack of wealth, we lived in a neighborhood that lacked wealth, and henceforth a school system that lacked wealth. Is it really that hard to understand why these kids perform well and these kids don't? I mean, really. I think we've got it all wrong. I think we, as Gloria Ladson-Billings says, should flip our paradigm and our language and call it what it really is. It's not an achievement gap. It's an education debt for all of the foregone schooling resources that were never invested in the education of the Black and brown child over time. Until we live in a world where every kid can get a high-quality education no matter where they live or the color of their skin, there are things we can do on a macro level. School funding should not be decided by property taxes or some funky economic equation where rich kids continue to benefit from state aid while poor kids are continuously having food and resources taken from their mouths. Governors, senators, mayors, city council members, if we're going to call public education, then it should be just that. Otherwise, we should call it what it really is: poverty insurance. Public education, keeping poor kids poor since 1954.
And let's mention the way you treat your employees.
Objection. Overruled. I want to hear this.
It's a shame. I mean, teachers have the most important job on the planet, yet they're underpaid? No wonder so many students are shortchanged. Let's be honest, teachers should earn just as much as doctors, because a doctor can do heart surgery and save the life of a kid, but a great teacher can reach the heart of that kid and allow him to truly live. See, teachers are heroes that often get blamed, but they're not the problem. They work in a system without many options or rights. Curriculums are created by policymakers, most of which have never taught a day in their life.
Every single one of you have been tracked. Now, and there's a lot of reasons for that, but first let's talk about what tracking is. Tracking, by definition, is the separation of pupils by academic merit. We have 3 tracks that we are separated into. We have high performing, average, and below average. This is the reason why we have AP classes, honors, CP, and standards. And this all happens in the 4th grade. Yes. Tracking was originally created post-World War II for these statistics. All right. So 20% of the students were thought to be doctors and lawyers. 20% were thought to be skilled workers, and 60% were meant to go into the factories and work on the farms. The US is evolving, but our education system is still the same. We need to end student tracking. We need to evolve our education system to match what everybody else is doing so that we don't fall behind.
We had a leveling problem, so a lot of our lower level classes were predominantly like people of color. Sad. Yes. And so, like, there are very wealthy people, and there are people who like get free meals from the school because they can't afford like meals at home and stuff like that.
And those students that can't afford the meals at home and who are struggling financially, those were the students who you saw falling through the cracks.
For sure. They were all the students who were in lower level classes. There were a few students who were in that position who like excelled in school.
What made your history teacher a good teacher?
He was just funny, and it was just like his projects were just so creative, and I don't know, his presentation was really captivating, and he just required all of the students to do like handwritten notes, which made everyone concentrate, but he also included like comedy. He was just an amazing teacher.
If you could change 3 things about the American school system, what would they be?
Okay. The first thing I would change would be de-leveling all students so that there wouldn't be such an achievement gap between students who are lower levels and higher levels. So that means like taking away APs and making sure that everyone is prepared for college regardless of the courses you decide to take, as well as like providing information and resources to students who do not plan on going to college. Second thing would be giving resources to schools that don't have it and that need it most. And that includes paying teachers well for the jobs in those schools. And lastly, free education for everyone. Making college free.
Okay. Less pressure on standardized testing. That's one. Definitely more creativity in classrooms. That's two. I mean, like more stimulating, not just notes, exams. Some like activities that will definitely stimulate students and get them interested and engaged instead of just like sleeping in class. Third, I think just like educating teachers on how not to present microaggressions to students so they feel comfortable in the classroom in all grades.
They do not have homework.
Wait, so you reduce the homework you give them at school?
Yes. They should have more time to be kids, to be youngsters, to enjoy the life.
So they have no homework. What if all they want to do is climb a tree?
They could climb a tree, yeah. They can climb a tree, then they learn how to climb a tree. But they'll end up, while climbing the tree, probably finding out about different insects, and they can come to school next day, tell me about what they found.
Compared to the older kids, how many hours a day do the younger ones go to school?
Mondays, 3 hours. Tuesdays, 4 hours. It varies. It's 20 hours a week.
So they're, oh man. Now, does this 3 or 4 hours at school include the lunch hour?
Yes.
How are they learning anything? How are you getting anything done?
Your brain has to relax every now and then. If you just constantly work, then you stop learning. And there's no use of doing that for a longer period of time.
Finland students have the shortest school days and the shortest school years in the entire Western world. They do better by going to school less.
Here, it's so student-centered that when we had to redo our playground, they had the architects come in and talk to the kids.
Were they listened to?
Yes, there are things on our playground that the students really wanted.
We tried to teach them to be happy person, to respect others and respect yourself.
You're concerned with their happiness?
Oh yeah.
What the hell do you teach?
I teach math.
So the math teacher says the first thing out of your mouth of what you wanted these students to get out of school was to be happy, to have a happy life.
Yep.
And you're the math teacher.
Yeah.
When do they have their time to play and socialize with their friends and grow as human beings? Because there's so much more life around than just school.
You want them to play?
I want children to play.
And that was the principle.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, if we continue down this road, the results will be lethal. I don't have much faith in school, but I do have faith in people. And if we can customize healthcare, cars, and Facebook pages, then it is our duty to do the same for education, to upgrade it, change it, do away with school spirit, because that's useless. Unless we're working to bring the spirit out of each and every student, that should be our task. No more Common Core. Instead, let's reach the core of every heart in every class. Sure, math is important, but no more than art or dance. Let's give every gift an equal chance. There is no single solution, but let's get moving. Because while students may be 20% of our population, they are 100% of our future. So let's attend to their dreams, and there's no telling what we can achieve. This is a world in which I believe.
Carry me home when the shadow comes to take me away. Laid on my bones, knowing I'll be in a better place. Release my soul.